I've always liked this part of the day, before work catches up, before traffic becomes traffic, before anyone expects anything from you. It's just me and the motorcycle, and one simple decision. Do I take the quickest way, or do I take the more circuitous route? The Trident entered one of the most stacked classes in motorcycling. Everyone around it already had an identity. The MT-07 was the hooligan. The SV650 was the legend. Honda represented refinement with its inline four. The Pillin twins, Vit and Swart, brought style. And the Z650 sat comfortably in the middle. The Trident didn't arrive with mythology, it arrived with competence. It wasn't a new Bonneville, it wasn't a reborn Daytona, it wasn't carrying decades of stories with it. It was simply a new motorcycle, and its argument was straightforward. Look at what you get. An 81 horsepower inline triple, 2 riding modes, traction control, ABS, a lightweight chassis, a price that made it hard to ignore. On paper it made sense. The low seat, the manageable power, the forgiving nature, it could build confidence quickly, but the engine hinted at something else. Not the urgency of a super sport, and not the rough edges of a hooligan twin, just a smooth, usable triple with character waiting above the mid-range. The compromises were also obvious. The throttle wasn't perfect, the Showa suspension wasn't adjustable, the brakes were okay, but not exceptional. Triumph spent its money carefully. The result was a motorcycle that resisted easy labels. It was a naked bike, but what kind? A retro-inspired round headlight, a sharp modern tail, a tire hugger that looked like it belonged on another bike altogether. It shouldn't have worked, but it did. At least it did for me. Maybe it was the way everything came together, or the proportions, or maybe it was that unmistakable Triumph badge on the side of the tank. Whatever it was, I was smitten. When I first bought my Trident, I also started my motorcycling journey. So the first few weeks weren't about pushing limits, they were about building confidence. I didn't ride in the rain right away. I didn't start commuting immediately. I eased into both. But within a month, riding to work had become my preferred way to get there. It let me focus on becoming a better rider instead of managing the motorcycle. Highways became normal. The wind stopped bothering me. Twisty roads became destinations instead of obstacles. 4 and 5 hour rides became routine. Then, one day, an 8-hour ride didn't seem unreasonable anymore. I don't know if it was the low seat height, the manageable weight, or the chassis itself. Maybe it was all three. What I do know is the Trident never felt intimidating. Over the next 2 years, the Trident took me across southwest British Columbia and into Washington State. Dry summer days, cold autumn mornings, rain, wet roads covered in fallen leaves. The only conditions I avoided were snow, ice, and roads flirting with freezing temperatures. I never felt the need to change the seat, and I never felt the need for a quick shifter. People recommended one, but I wanted to learn to shift properly first. I added a few practical things: frame sliders, a pillion grab handle, swing arm bobbin. For nearly 2 years, there wasn't a single performance feature I felt I was missing. That wasn't because the Trident had everything. It was because at that stage of my riding, it had everything I needed. Most reviews end before ownership begins. And that's unfortunate because time reveals the parts no first ride ever can. Reliability, wear, maintenance, character. Ride anything long enough and it will wear out, not at the center, at the edges. Living on Canada's west coast taught me something else as well. Genuine Triumph parts usually take about a week if they aren't already here. So whether you order them yourself, through a dealership, or through a Triumph specialist, they're usually making the same trip from the UK. It's not a flaw, it's just part of ownership, and something I should mention. Over 55,000 kilometers, I've either replaced or had replaced brake pads, chains, sprockets, tires, indicators, and eventually a steering head bearing. The battery never complained, neither did the stator. Also, I should mention, somewhere along the way, maintenance stopped feeling intimidating and it became another part of riding. Oh, one more thing. Buy a T30 Torx. You'll thank me later. Around 42,000 kilometers into owning the Trident, I was ready to try something new. I was starting to get drawn into fully fared bikes. I wanted the wind protection, the look, and something that felt like the next step up without twisting me into a pretzel. The Kawasaki Ninja 1100 SX SE seemed to promise exactly that. It had more power, more technology, more features, a quick shifter, cruise control, heated grips, phone connectivity, a 6-axis IMU with lean sensitive electronics. On paper, it had everything I thought I wanted. On the road, the performance gap felt obvious. But about 10 months after owning the Kawasaki, I lost it. Getting back on the Trident reminded me that the heart of a motorcycle isn't measured by its spec sheet. But it also made something else clear. After experiencing a truly good quick shifter, exceptional brakes, and a fully adjustable suspension, I knew those were no longer nice-to-have features. They had become part of the riding experience I valued most. The Trident had taught me what made a motorcycle fun. The Ninja had taught me which upgrades actually mattered. When everything settled and it finally came time to buy another motorcycle, the answer became obvious. The Triumph Street Triple 765 RS wasn't replacing the Trident. It was everything I had grown to appreciate over tens of thousands of kilometers distilled into one motorcycle. A sharper chassis, a phenomenal quick shifter, Brembo brakes, fully adjustable suspension. Not because those things look good on a brochure, but because I'd learned what they feel like on the road. And yet, summer will fade, the days will grow shorter, and Vancouver's rains will return. And I know exactly which key I'll be reaching for more often, the Trident. Because after 55,000 kilometers, it hasn't stopped being the motorcycle I trust. It's simply become the motorcycle I appreciate even more. The funny thing is, the motorcycle I've spent 55,000 kilometers getting to know doesn't really exist anymore. The 2026 Trident is objectively the better motorcycle. Better suspension, better electronics, more features. Triumph listened. They refined it. And I think that's exactly what they should have done. But I'm grateful I bought the 2023 version because it wasn't perfect. It was honest. And somewhere along the way, that turned out to matter more.
What is that?
The Triumph.
It's fucking